As you guys know, I have built a handful of bunkers in my time. I personally absolutely love building them, and you guys apparently love watching them. I'll put links to those videos down in the description. But generally speaking, these things are usually quite big and quite clunky. So today we're going to be building this tiny little thing right here. Now what we've got is a 7x5 room, and we're going to fill this in with a ton of really useful contraptions. First things first, we've got to create the entrance into this place. Now generally speaking, I would create some form of trapdoor, but we're not going to be doing that today because trapdoors are easily detectable, as when they're open, they tend to turn the grass into dirt. And if I'm walking along and I just see a random dirt block in the middle of like a grassy field, probably going to break that dirt block, and I'm probably going to find some form of secret base underneath it. So instead, we're going to be building a sort of hybrid triple piston extender. All we're going to do is we're going to place a block under where we want to drop down, and then we're going to have two sticky pistons facing upwards and a sticky piston off to one side, and then we're going to have slime blocks in like an L shape going around like this, with a grass block up at the top, and that is going to be extended upwards so that it's flush with the floor. Now I'm just going to warn you, this circuit is a little bit odd. We're going to have a block right here, and this is going to be our input, and for the time being I'm going to place in a button just so that we can test it all out. But then we're going to have a redstone torch on top, we're going to have an observer facing upwards right there, and that's going to be going into a movable object with redstone dust on top. And of course we are going to be using a lot of immovable objects just because we're using slime blocks here, and we need to make sure that, well, things don't get dragged along with them. But then we're going to have some redstone dust running across like this. We're going to have a repeater set to 4 ticks running into that block right there. Then we're going to take a repeater output from that one, and that's going to be running into this observer, which is going to have another immovable object right there with redstone dust on top of it. Then you just want to place in a block out the back right here with redstone dust there, a repeater set to 4 ticks with redstone dust right there, and that should hopefully be everything completed. So if we take out a few of these blocks and make sure that there's no blocks for this thing to stick to, when we hit this button, we get the full extension, and then it spits it out, so that grass block right there is completely flush with our floor, and then when we hit the button once again, everything should retract and get pulled downwards. Perfect. It's a movable object time, so we're going to place in a handful of them in this sort of area, which should hopefully end up looking pretty cool. We're also going to have a few of them facing in this direction, which will cover up that area. We need one immovable object, which is going to be going right there. We need to grab ourselves some blocks to put in this central section. We can cover up this zone, we can cover up that zone, and then finally we can place in the immovable objects out the back just like this. So that's all well and good. We've got ourselves an entrance, we can actually go in, but we have no way of opening the entrance, which, yeah, that's a little bit daft. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an item dropping system where we can actually drop items in, and that will activate the circuit. So the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to go out the back of this thing, and we're going to place in a hopper and then a minecart rail just 2 blocks underneath the ground. Then we're going to place in a hopper minecart on top, which means if we place in blocks going across here, when we throw in an item, it will still be picking it up. Now all we have to do is we have got to get ourselves some actual blocks. We're going to take a comparator output from this hopper right here, and we're going to be running that into a sticky piston with a redstone block on its face, which will be extending downwards to around about here to power this redstone. Then we can just run the redstone out and across like this. Now we are going to need a comparator pulse extender, so I'd suggest creating something that looks a little bit like that. And then we can take a repeater output from that and just run it into this block right here. And that is the input finished. So now when you throw an item on top of that hopper minecart, it will open up the door. Once again, we do have a few finishing up details to do. The first thing that I would suggest doing is actually removing both of these immovable objects right here and replacing them with a chest and then a hopper. Just a hopper, because that is the only transparent immovable object in Minecraft, and that means that you can still open this chest right here, and this chest is where the items that you throw down are actually going to be going into. So if we throw an item into this chest right here, but first I'd suggest covering up that redstone. If we throw in an item right here, you can see that it goes through into the system, and that activates our piston trapdoor extender type thing. And if we throw in another item, that will open up everything, and we can just drop on down and grab it straight out of this chest. Now, one thing that I would actually suggest doing is placing a button on this block right here. Now, this block is directly next to our piston, which means that we can activate the system from the inside and actually close up the trapdoor behind us, but also, more importantly, open it up so that we can get out. That's a pretty important detail. Okay, I think I'm just about done with the entrance area. I don't think there's anything really left to do there. So now we're going to start work on our food source. This is where we're actually going to be getting the stuff to live. Now, previously, I have used things like chicken farms in the past, but there is a slight issue with chicken farms, and that is the fact that they are very, very loud. So if this is like a hidden bunker that you don't want anyone to find, having a chicken farm in there probably isn't the best of ideas. So we're going to be creating a nano farm. This thing was originally designed by Impulse SV, and it is completely insane. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything so fast in my life. I mean, seriously, this can produce wheat, carrots, and potatoes stupidly quickly. So what we've got is 3 dispensers facing into one another on top of a dirt block, and we're going to take a comparator output from this block right here. So we're going to be using orange wool for this one, just because I think that will look cool, and we're going to take the comparator output from there, and that's going to run around just like this. And then we're going to need to knock out a few extra blocks, and the output from that is just going to run up to the top just like this, and we're going to place it on all 3 of the dispensers. So all 3 of these redstone dispensers are going to have redstone on top of them, and that means that all of this is going to be activated, and they will all fire extremely quickly when we flick this lever and put the comparator into subtract mode. Now, I am going to warn you, this farm is going to use a whole ton of bone meal. So we're going to fill up this dispenser, we're going to fill up this dispenser, and we're going to fill up the final dispenser right there. So that is 27 stacks of bone meal in total. We're also going to need to place in some water to keep our farmland hydrated. So we're just going to have 1 block off to the side right here. And let's just quickly do that. Then the final thing to knock off the checklist is to till all of the soil, and we also need to break out that block and place in a slab down here just so we can get nice and close and actually pick up all of the wheat that is going to be popping out. So then you flick the lever and you hold down the right click button. Now at the start this might happen, okay, and you might get something like this occurring, but then eventually once you start kind of wiggling around, there we go. The wheat is now being produced, and it is coming in by the bucket load. I've just put myself into survival mode so that you can see this thing working, and there it is. I mean, look how fast all of this is coming in. And obviously you are getting more and more seeds as you go along, because of course the wheat is growing, you get more seeds when the wheat is harvested. And the way that it's actually being harvested is because it is completely pitch black in the center right there, and the wheat is popping off because there's not enough light. And that's just auto-harvesting it. So there we go. We managed to get 2 stacks while I was talking. I don't even know what to say with that one. But anyway, we'll replace that. We'll replace these blocks. And now we can start work on this back wall. I think it's safe to say this wouldn't be much of a bunker if we didn't have a storage system, or if we didn't have ourselves a super smelter system. So what we're going to do is create a circuit that is going to reveal the pair of those. One of them is going to expand out our storage. The other one is going to reveal the second half of the super smelter. And the way that we're going to do that is by creating a super compact and extremely fast double piston extender system. So we're going to place in a bunch of repeaters, just like that, and just like that, connect those up using a redstone line. Then we're going to have an observer facing upwards, and we're going to do the same thing once again. So just a bunch of redstone, and then a bunch of repeaters, and believe it or not, that is actually it. If we place some blocks on top of these double piston extenders right here, and then give it a redstone input, for example, a button, you can see that's all it takes. That is literally all it takes to create double piston extenders these days. So I would suggest replacing those blocks with the blocks that you've used for your floor, and then we can actually start placing in the systems that we're going to be revealing. So the input for this thing is going to be going on this block right here, and we're going to take a repeater output from that. It's going to go out into a block, and then we're going to have a sticky piston facing downwards with a redstone block on its face, and we can place in some redstone dust and some redstone dust just making its way down to the bottom here. So that should be all of that created. We can now drop the floor from this button in the center. So then we're going to place in a bunch of chests. They're going to be going up like this. You're then going to want to grab yourself some trap chests, and you're going to want to use those for the other side. So that's trap chests going up like this, and that means that you can get 8 double chests of storage, and you can reveal the bottom ones just by hitting this button right here. Now, for the second half, we're going to be having our super smelter furnace array. So we're going to have some furnaces here. We're going to have 2 hoppers running into the top with chests there. 2 hoppers running into the furnaces down at the bottom with a double chest right there. So that one's going to be for the smelting items. That one's going to be for the coal. And then your output chest is just going to be going down at the bottom. So you're going to want 2 chests on either side just like that, with your 2 hoppers on either side going into it, if you can just about place them. And this is what it will look like all fully decorated. I'd say that looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Let's move on and take a look at the enchanting system, because you need a way to get really great tools. So this is it. This is like the foundation. We've got ourselves an enchanting table, we've got an anvil on top, we've got all of the bookshelves wrapping around. That gives us access to level 30. But what if you want a lower level? What if you want to do like level 6 enchantment? Well, for that, you're going to need to block off all of the bookshelves. So we're going to create a system that does exactly that. We're going to have some regular pistons running around like this. This right here is going to be our input, and we're going to take an output from that, and we're going to run it round the back of all of these pistons. So the first thing you've got to do is we're going to have to clear out a whole bunch of blocks going all the way across just like this, and we're going to take a redstone line, and that is going to go down like this and just all the way across right like that, with redstone dust on top of all of those blocks right there. Then on the sides of these blocks right here, we're going to place a bunch of redstone torches. So we're going to have a redstone torch on the side of this one and a redstone torch on the side of this one. But then we're going to take a repeater. We're going to run that across just like this. That's going to be going into this block right here with a redstone torch right underneath our enchanting table. Now, if we pop back up to the surface, you can see that has extended out all of our pistons, which means we have now blocked off all of the available levels. But if we don't want that, flick the lever, they all drop down, and boom, full enchanting table, level 30 goodness. I really like this place. So here it is. This is the bunker in all of its glory. As you can see, well, it does its job pretty well. It's actually very well hidden to the point where I can't actually remember where it is. It's not there. I've lost my own bunker. I think it's somewhere. Yeah, okay, it's there. So that drops down our hidden piston extender, which allows us to gain access into this system. We've got a whole bunch of different things going on here. We've got a nano farm, which gives us access to wheat, carrots, potatoes, and other vegetables and stuff that you can grow in Minecraft, which means you've got a sustainable food source. We've got an expandable storage system and also expandable super smelter system as well, which is always very handy to have. And we have got the toggleable enchanting system, which allows you to choose how many levels you want to enchant with on your tools. I mean, this place is pretty great. It's very, very compact. It's like the perfect micro bunker, and if you want to leave the place, all you have to do is hit this button right here and you'll be pushed back up to the surface and everything will be completely hidden away. There's not even a dirt block. No dirt block in sight. This is like the most concealed bunker you can possibly get. So we have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and by the way, check out the latest vlog. I think you're gonna like it. Link is on the end screen.